Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Owning Pleasure as a Black woman. I am so excited to have you here, and I am so excited to share this conversation with you. I realized that I haven't really talked about what this podcast is about in the beginning, and if you're new, you're probably like, what is this about? So owning pleasure as a Black woman, though the title kind of says it all, is about pleasure, self-care, and rest for the high achieving Black woman, the perfectionist, the overthinker, the one who has crossed off all of the to-do lists from graduating college to getting the job and grad school and certs and family and money, and you have all the things, and you woke up one day and realized it's not it's not hidden, and I don't know what to do about that. And so in these podcast episodes, I teach you and give you tangible action plans to begin adding pleasure, self-care, and rest into your life, not because you worked hard and like you earned it, but because you deserve it. So if that resonates with you, you are in the right place. Now, before we talk about the guest that I'm going to bring on, I am going to politely ask you to either leave a 5-star review or leave some type of comment, like drop us something for me so that this podcast can start to grow legs and crawl to the women that need to hear this information. And I know it's a lot of them out there. So the more that you comment, the more that you rate, not comment, leave a review. I'm thinking of social media. The more that you leave a review and rate, then the more women that get to see this podcast and listen to the gems that are dropped, not just by me, but the guests that I bring on. And they're pretty amazing guests. And because y'all know I love to give gifts, if you leave a review and leave a 5-star rating and you screenshot it and send it to me at hello@chantelandco.com, I will send you my ebook on foundational self-care. Now, this ebook is not the commercialized self-care. This is not the massages and the bubble baths and the vacations. It is the basic foundational things that you can do for free every single day to enhance your self-care so that you can get to a place where you are doing the massages and the flights and all of those things. But it starts very basic, and you need to know that, and you need to start that today. So if you leave those ratings and those reviews, I will gladly send that to you. And it is not available anywhere, so it's not like you can go purchase it or join the email list and get it. It is something that's in the vault, and I will only be giving it out to those that leave reviews and ratings. So that's that there. So let me introduce you to my wonderful guest. I love her so much. She is a real friend of mine. We have spent time together. We kikied, and she is a business. She probably won't like that I say this, but she's like a business guru. But it's always really fun to have conversations with her that aren't business related, because her thought process and just the way that she chooses to live her life is like, it's full of gems, and I get to share her with you. So let me introduce to you Natalie Bullen. Natalie is a wealth coach who helps high-income entrepreneurs, professionals bridge the gap between making money and building wealth. As the founder of Unapologetic Wealth, she guides ambitious business owners, consultants, and service providers in creating financial security, investment strategies, and lasting generational wealth without overworking or overgiving. Find out more about her at unapologeticwealth.com, and I will have that in the show notes for you. So sit back, relax. You might want a pen and a paper, or you might just want to listen to this and then go listen to it again. Oh, and by the way, this is part 1, because I know that y'all don't like to listen to those hour long podcast episodes. So I have split it up. So enjoy the first half of Learning How to Thrive with Natalie Bullen. So, Natalie, first, I want to thank you for joining me. I'm excited that we get to not talk about business because I was like, what am I going to talk to Natalie about? Because all she do is talk about business. And then you were like, no, we're not doing that.
Lies. Lies.
So, during your main character energy kickoff, I was listening and I was like, oh, there we go, right there. I got the topic. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want you to talk about the difference between survival, living, and thriving, because your story, building
Mm,
your business, goes through those three. And where I want to
yeah.
go ends at thriving and pleasure. So let's talk a little bit about those
Mm.
three.
Yeah. Okay, so surviving is one, thriving is three. What's two?
Living, right? So you've got that middle piece where everything balances out.
Okay. Okay, that's true. Um, that's a good question. I think that all Black people are born in survival mode in the
Mm-hmm.
United States, regardless of how much money they have or how much privilege they have, just because of the onslaught of racism and sexism and classism.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not recognize like the emotional part, the ancestral part, the epigenetic part of being Black. I was just like, hey, I'm living it. I'm doing it.
Right.
I'm working, you know what I'm saying? I got my check, I got my paycheck, I'm good. And for years, I was paycheck Nat. Like everybody who worked with me knew Nat gonna pick up overtime, Nat gonna make it happen, Nat gonna work 2, 3 jobs. And I honor the old version of me because it got me to where I am today. But you cannot ever rest in survival mode. If you know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I'm sure you do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the listeners aren't, they don't study that all the time. But if your basic needs are not met, and yes, that includes food, water, housing, but it also includes biological needs like sex.
Mm-hmm.
If your needs are not met, then you can't move to the next level. So you can't become self actualized or really confident or really at peace. And you don't know where you're going to sleep tonight. And you don't know where your next client is coming from. You don't know when your check, how much your check is going to be. So I spent a long time in not even so much a survival of proving. That's what survival mode looked like for me. I had to prove I am worthy of this job. I'm
Mm-hmm.
worthy of 2 jobs. I'm worthy of 3 jobs.
Ooh,
Y'all
snaps.
remember Everybody Hates Chris, where it was like, my man got 2 jobs. I was the man. I was the man with 2 jobs. I was Terry Crews, right? Can't nobody outwork me. I pride myself. I walk in the grocery store and walk out with a job and my
Mm.
whole cart free as my first employee perk. Definitely walked in Buckle for the first time. Didn't know what Buckle sold. Walked out with a job.
Wow.
Like I just had an aura of me that was very, hey, I'm gonna get it by any means necessary. And I think eventually you wake up one day and your work pays off. I'm not flashy. I'm not super luxurious. I've never been one of those people who spent above their means, but laying down with the wrong man, working myself literally almost to death, not paying attention to my health, landed me sleeping on a friend's couch and filing bankruptcy. And that's when I was like, huh, I ain't been on a real vacation. I don't own a luxury purse. I ain't never had no weave. I don't ever go out the state. Everybody else filing bankruptcy and been to Bora Bora and Fiji. What
Wow.
am I doing wrong? Like, I was prudent. I did everything right. I went to college. I had good grades. I have an MBA. How you broke with an MBA? Like, it never made sense to me. And so, after I filed bankruptcy and got back right, I said, well, I'm gonna do something different. So I thought. So me and my little shiny MBA went and got me a bank job. And I said, son, this is gonna be way better. I ain't gonna be in no call center. I'm not gonna be working wait tables at restaurants. This is a real job, baby. I got a career. I'm set. And it just didn't really pan out. I was making 36,000 a year when I got that job in 2015. And when I left in 2021, my base pay was 51,000.
Mm-hmm.
That was my career. My student loan payment is $1,200 a month. I was literally working a part-time job at Pottery Barn to pay my student loan payment.
Wow.
That's what the college career got me. That's why when people say, why are you so bitter about college? Because it's a scam. Anything that has the US has 12% black people. 12% of America says they are black. 70% of the student loan in this country is held by black people.
Mm.
Now you tell me how that's not a scam or a scheme. Because
Listen.
if it was a good system, it would affect people equally.
Right.
If it only affects minorities in a negative way, that's a
Scam.
so I wasn't really living, and so like COVID really was obviously a devastating, bad, once in a
Mm-hmm.
lifetime. We hope to never ever go through another pandemic again, but it finally gave me the space to breathe
Mm-hmm.
because they put us on the A team and the B team at the bank. So if someone on the A team caught COVID, the B team could step over and run
Mm-hmm.
the branch instead of the whole branch being closed for 2 weeks because we all had to quarantine. And for the first time in my adult life, I had 2 weeks off
Wow.
of everything. I'd never had that before because from when I was 16 years old, I was working at least one, sometimes two, sometimes three, sometimes four jobs. I had never in my life experienced more than 3 off days consecutively for any reason, even when somebody died, because I always had a job to go to. So
Right.
having being laid off my part-time job because they laid off all the part-timers when COVID hit, and having the bank say you're gonna be 1 week on, 1 week off, 1 week on, 1 week off, I found myself with a whole week off.
This episode of Owning Pleasure as a Black Woman is proudly sponsored by Organic Leaven, your go to source for all natural, body safe products that enhance your intimate experiences. At Organic Leaven, they believe that what you put on and in your body matters, which is why they offer a carefully curated selection of organic, eco friendly products designed to bring pleasure without compromising your health. From luxurious lubricants and body oils to intimate toys and wellness products, Organic Leaven has everything you need to elevate your sensual self care routine. Each product is crafted with the highest quality ingredients so you can indulge with confidence, knowing you're choosing the best for your body and the environment. As a special offer for our listeners, you can enjoy 10% off your purchase when you use the coupon code JAVRYWELLNESS at checkout. Visit www.javrywellness.com slash organic dash lovin, that's LOVEN, today to explore their full range of products and discover how organic, body safe options can make a difference in your intimate life. That's www.javrywellness.com slash organic dash lovin, spelled LOVEN. And don't forget to use the code JAVRYWELLNESS for 10% off your order. Take care of your body and let Organic Lovin take care of your pleasure. This episode of Owning Pleasure as a Black Woman is brought to you by Javery Integrative Wellness Services, where holistic healing meets mental wellness. At Javery Integrative Wellness, we understand that life's demands can take a toll on your mind, body, and your spirit. That's why we offer a range of therapeutic services designed to help you reconnect with yourself, reduce stress, and find balance. Whether you're dealing with anxiety, relationship issues, or simply looking to enhance your overall well being, the expert therapists at Javery Integrative Wellness are here to support you. We specialize in creating personalized integrative care plans that cater to your unique needs. Ready to take the first step towards a healthier, happier you? Visit www.javerywellness.com today and schedule your free 15-minute consultation with one of our compassionate therapists. It's time to invest in yourself and start your journey to wellness. That's www.javerywellness.com, your partner in holistic health and healing. Don't wait. Book your free consultation now. And what'd you do?
Nothing. I was too confused. I was like,
What am I supposed to do with
what
this?
am I supposed to do? That's it. So I did lose some weight. I went walking. I walk kind of slow. It takes me like 18 minutes to walk a mile. So if I walk 6 or 7 miles, baby, we out there all day. That's hours. We out there for hours. So I did spend a lot of time in the little walking club and stuff, but like that's when I can say finally that my brain was like, there is more to life than
Mhm.
opening brokerage accounts. Okay, maybe
Wow.
you got a little something. Maybe you could do something with this. So, in true hustler spirit, I filled all that time back up. I'm like, let me get
Yep.
on Clubhouse. Let me get on Facebook. Let me do the thing. Because again, I'm in my proving energy. Don't nobody know me. I don't have no money to run ads. So I got to get out there and prove my worth all the time, right? So I go from an overworking college student to an overworking career person to an overworking entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Because until you learn the lesson just shows up as new people.
Yep.
You meet the same people in new bodies and the same scenarios in new jobs until you learn the lesson. I had not learned the lesson yet because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know there was a lesson being taught. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm an A student. If somebody would have told me there was a lesson, I would listen to it. But I ain't know.
Listen,
I
from
ain't
one
know it was
A
no lesson.
student to the next. Being an A student means nothing when you're not in school.
Right? But I was in school. I just didn't know I was in school because I didn't enroll. I was enrolled against my will. I was enrolled against my will. And so, like, it's just now lately been where I'm like, you know what? But I will say this: when you under earn, you're always in survival mode. You cannot out trick your brain from the truth. I don't care what kind of wealth embodiment, wealth mindset work you do. If you are paycheck to paycheck and don't know where your next meal is coming from, it don't work. So I honor the hardworking version of Natalie because she got us the resources.
Right.
Us meaning new settled Natalie.
Right.
The Bullen household has reaped the benefit of hustle Natalie's work. Cause
Right.
now hustle Natalie, she ain't really got to do a whole lot. You know, we ain't talking business today, but just know the whole site's being updated, the prices have been increased. Ain't no more hard working over here. Natalie is tired. And sometimes you just got to get to that point. Sometimes you got to get tired enough to say, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to keep doing this. That's
Mm.
probably the breakthrough from surviving to living. When you break and say, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not doing that over there. And then the difference between living and thriving is I could continue what I'm doing, or I could step into my highest self.
Mm.
I could just stop being afraid of what that highest self looks like.
Right, right. But one thing that you talked about during that kickoff, and I just had a session with my therapist, and she was like, "That driven self, she's not needed anymore. So what are we gonna do? How can you be still?" And I was like, "Child, I don't know." But you mentioned how there is no role model, especially for us as Black women, of what it looks like to step from living to thriving and allow yourself to enjoy the fruits of your labor and it not be backbreaking, right? Like insert all of
Yeah.
this space, all of this time. Like when you're living, that means that you've met that my bills are paid, right?
Right.
Like I could put grocery, like I'm good. I'm not worried about anything. So I'm shifting into
Yeah.
that. But when you shift into thriving, I can go above and beyond what I'm doing. So I don't have to do my spa at the house no more. Like I could go book a whole day if I want
Right.
to. So can you talk a
We
little
haven't
bit
had a role
about
model
that?
of that.
We
Yeah,
haven't.
we haven't. Well, that's not true. We don't glorify the ones who are those role models. They
Mm,
exist, but we glorify others. Now, I'm gonna get hatred for this and I'm gonna say it anyway. I don't like Beyonce.
mm,
Um, And I made a post and an email one day about the difference between a Beyonce brand and a Rihanna brand. Now, Rihanna is exactly my age. Rihanna was born in February of 1988, just like I was. And Rihanna is a billionaire. And Rihanna made music when she needed to make music, and she used her
mm-hmm,
pretty privilege when she needed to use her pretty privilege. And as soon as she got enough money to divest, she did. She bought real estate, she bought a product based business, she started Savage Fenty. She now has hair care and makeup. I pay $59.95 a month, and I get a beautiful piece of lingerie delivered to my home every month. It's pretty much the only subscription I pay for because I'm not even a subscription person. Rihanna don't go on tour. Other than the Super Bowl, you ain't seen her sing in years. And
right.
you buy her stuff, whether she's on the ad or not. You forget Savage Fenty is even owned by her. I didn't even know Fenty was her last name until maybe 2 years ago.
I didn't know that either.
See? And so the difference is Rihanna is actually doing what we say we want to do. She made her money the traditional way. She used her looks and her talent and her man hours, her labor to
Mhm.
make money. And then she took that money and invested it. She don't
Mm.
tour no more. She don't make music no more.
She at
But
home with her family,
that's
happy.
not who we glorify. We don't glorify Rihanna. Who do we glorify?
Oh,
Beyonce.
yeah. Oh.
Right? Somebody who has to show up and shake it to make money.
Mm.
That's not to say she's not rich.
Right.
But Beyonce is incredibly rich, richer than most of us will ever be. Like, I'm not hating. I'm saying her non-singing things tend to flop. House of Darion, the whiskey situation, the natural hair care when people thought she wore wigs. Why didn't she sell wigs? Right? She tends to align herself with things that feel like a money grab. They don't feel like a organic. I don't know. When Rihanna sells you something, it seems like something she actually used or something she cares about or
Very
something that
personable.
it seems personal, but it seems organic. It seems
Mhm.
involved. Beyonce seems like an investor came to her with a portfolio and said, "Hey, you want to get involved?"
Mm.
Right? And people
Yeah.
don't get behind that. So when she wants to make big money, she got to
Got
show
it.
up at the Super Bowl. She got to run a commercial. She got to go on tour. She got to move into genres that she don't know nothing about.
Mm.
She got to do. So she still leads, in my opinion, with hard work. I'm working hard. I'm in the studio. I'm learning new skills. I'm 20, 30 years in the game. She ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. Me not
Yeah.
liking Beyonce ain't gonna matter a hill of beans in the end of the game. But she would be twice as rich if she settled into her ease and just sold what felt organic and natural to her, like Rihanna does. That's what I
Mm.
believe.
But then
So
that,
we do have some role models. It's just not the sexy thing we want because we like the hustle ethic. We like that Chris Brown is still going on tour 20 years after his first CD. When me and you both know he don't need to be doing $1,000 meet and greets because Chris Brown don't need $1,000 damn. But we like that about Chris Brown, right? We like the work. We
mm,
like it. We're attracted to the work. We don't like people who don't work. Why don't black people like Oprah? The real reason.
oh, she at the house. She chilling. She's chilling.
Right. She
But
makes
then,
money in what feels like a very easy, organic kind of, oh, I got this book club and oh, I have this stuff. I don't like that. I don't even think she reads those books. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares if it, that's what I said. We're so attached to the work.
mhm.
No, you got to be in the trenches. No, you got to be Oprah is 70. What kind of trenches you want a 70-year-old billionaire to be in?
But
She's
isn't
been
that
a
the
billionaire
nervous
30
system?
years. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I don't think it's that we have none. Like, look at women who get into sports, right? Why don't black women buy sports teams? That's what I would want to do. Why don't we own franchises?
Never thought about it, Natalie. I don't
But it's thought
know.
about me. When you think about what makes the most money in the world, it's sports. I
Mm-hmm.
want to own an NFL team, an NBA team, hell, a hockey team.
Mm.
That's where the money is. I want to be Mark Cuban, but no, we don't want to do that. We want to go on tour. We want to sell. Like, we want to be involved. Why? Why exactly? Because we are still out here trying to prove something. We still feel like our effort is
Mm.
required. When people are actors and they stop acting, what do? I ain't seen them in a movie in 10 years. They must be washed up. Nah.
They
They
chilling.
make
They
their money from
living.
their movies and they chilling.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember when Richard Simmons went into obscurity and people complained, and the guy, Pauly Shore, wanted to do a biopic on uh spandex leotard era 80s, and he said, no, I'm private. Richard Simmons said, I'm private. I don't want y'all to do a biopic on me. I don't want to do any of that. I made my money and I'm quiet. And they hounded that man until he died. Richard Simmons died, still fighting against it. They're still planning on doing it.
Wow.
Why? So when people do try to rest, we don't like that. We push back and we say, I don't like how you resting over there. I think you should work because that's what I want. I want another CD, Jay-Z. I
Mm.
want another concert tour. I want another book. I want this and I want that. So when people do step back and say, I'm good and I want to rest, we don't let them be the role model for it. Black people have so much ancestral trauma
Mhm.
from slavery that we have not processed. And we think that because we were not the ones in shackles, in chains, that somehow we were in no, baby, it hit you too.
All
It
of
hit
us.
you, all of us. And so, now I don't question people's prices. If you
Mm-hmm.
charge $100,000 a week for private coaching, more power to you. You serve a very affluent clientele and you probably have a great quality of living.
Mm-hmm.
The affordable, accessible, relatable people are broke.
Mm.
All of them. Because they have to serve so many people and they have to do so much work that they don't feel fulfilled.
Right.
And so, I think part of it's that we've just never seen the role models. I think too, we are usually shielded from real business owners.
Mm.
Like being in finance, I'm familiar with Warren Buffett. I'm familiar with people who run hedge funds, people who have art galleries, alternative investments, people who own oil and gas and gold bars. I think by and large, the public does not know anything about that. When they think rich, they
Agreed.
think celebrity.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's
So
all
they're
we're shown.
already, because
Absolutely.
that's what we're shown. So like, I don't think people even know where they could find a role model. That a guy asked on Facebook the other day, if unlimited money, unlimited resources, whose business model would you want? Like a living, breathing person right now that's running a business, whose model would you want? Most people came up with other online coaches. And I was like, I'd probably like Mark Cuban's deal. Mark Cuban owns over 300 businesses. He owns franchises. He owns this. He owns that. He owns part of the Dallas Mavs. Um, I was like, Warren Buffett's got a really sweet deal over there. Like I started naming like men who were in businesses, most of whom you've never heard of, selling things you didn't know existed. I don't think most people are thinking that way. They're like, oh, I want to be Russell Brunson because that's who they're exposed to. So I think we have limited role models. We don't even know what's out there. I remember I hired a coach and I told him, I'm unhappy with my business model. And he said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. I don't know what my options are, right? Like run it
Mm-hmm.
down for me. What are some other things I could do? And he's like, well, that's a mindset block. What do you want to do? It's not a block, it's ignorance. I'm telling you, I don't
I don't
even
know.
know what
Right.
all my options are. So, like, I think that's a lot of people. We don't really know what we could do and lean into our ease. Despite internally thinking I'm a bitch, internally having been bullied as a child, internally being an introvert, internally being a person from Mobile that never really got along with a whole lot of people, even from their own hometown, and live in Huntsville and don't really rock with nobody here, have become a natural connector of
Mm-hmm.
people. So I have spent a lot of time selling, you should buy, you should sell, you should this, you should that. And now I have a flagship offer that is, frankly, a friendship container.
Hello, it is. And I'm all up and through it, honey.
And a lot of people are joining it. So the belief that I have to be the star and the central giver and the entire value ecosystem of unapologetic wealth is untrue. But how would I have known that if I hadn't been bold enough to try something that was different? Most people have never even seen a container like what I'm building. And if they've never seen somebody do it, they don't try it
Right.
because they feel like if ain't nobody ever done it before, it can't be done.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of things that go on. I think it's not having good, solid role models outside of celebrity entertainers, but I also think the celebrity entertainers tend to overgive. Most rich people act like middle class people who came into a little money.
Because you would never know that they exist. You would never know just looking at them at a Publix.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's how you know whether you're living or thriving. You are just living.
Ah,
If you're a rich person and you feel like a middle class person who came up, if you feel like a middle class person who hit a lick, that's not rich mindset.
like
And
luck.
you can't rest. And you could be a multimillionaire. But if you feel like you own a house of cards and your business just blew up and you made money right quick, like if that's your identity, when I was really overweight and struggling to lose weight, it's because I felt like a fat person on a diet. That was my identity.
Ooh.
Natalie is fat, and Natalie, as a fat person, is on a diet. When I lost weight and kept it off, I saw myself as an athlete.
Mm.
My identity was different. I wasn't a fat person on a diet. I was an athlete whose phenotype had not caught up to my genetic reality yet. It's very different.
It
It's very
is.
different. So when you step into wealth identity, it doesn't matter how much money is in your bank account. It becomes, I am the type of person who steps fully into their power. Because if you ask somebody right now, like if I ask you, say, you know what, if you had unlimited money, what would you go do tomorrow? You probably not gonna say, well, Monday. You probably not gonna say, girl, I'm gonna go to work as usual. I'm gonna go to my nail plumber, I'm gonna do this, do that, because it's not true, right?
Well,
Like
you know
rich,
what, Natalie? I take that back. You know that I really like my
you
job.
do. And maybe if you had one-time lottery winner money, you would keep going. But unlimited money for the rest of your life, I
You think
don't believe it would
you don't
be,
think I'd go
I'm
to
gonna work a
work?
W-2 job.
Maybe I would contract or
I
be
don't
a volunteer or something because I
say
see
exactly. I'm not saying you'd be
I see the
bored. I'm saying
difference.
I don't think you would be like, no, I'm gonna keep nothing in my life will change. Rich you is the real you. Most of us have never met real us
Hmm.
because we haven't ever allowed ourselves to step into a rich identity. Most of us know we would have a better bookkeeper.
Hmm.
That nail tech would be coming to your house.
Absolutely. Oh my
You wouldn't be driving nowhere. Right. So these are the kinds of things. But as long as you see yourself as a middle class person on a come up, you will keep making middle class decisions. And the middle class believes in hard work.
Okay, so we are going to pause right here for part one, and I will be dropping part two tomorrow. So make sure that you come back to hear what else Natalie has to share with us about thriving. I want you to thrive. I want you to take one thing from this first half and drop what it is that one thing is. Wherever it is, you can email me, hello@chantelandco.com. You can drop a review about this episode, but I want to know so far, what have you taken away from this episode? This is a really, really good episode, and it just gets so much better. Now, if you enjoyed this episode and you enjoy this podcast, make sure that you go and you leave a 5-star rating and that you review so that more Black women can understand why it is so important to add pleasure, self-care, and rest to their day-to-day routine. And let's up-level those habits because we are worth it, not because you did anything to earn it, but because it is so. You don't have to do anything to experience pleasure. You don't have to do anything to have self-care. You don't have to do anything to acknowledge rest, all forms of rest. So, with that being said, I will see you in the next episode for part two with Natalie Bullen. Bye.